Welcome back in, everybody. It is a pleasure to have all of you on board with us today. We've got a three-member panel with maybe a fourth guest coming in later. We've got a Giants fan on board with us today. Shane's in the house. Austin's in the house. You are here. Thank you so much for being with us. It is a privilege as always. We are going to motor through this show in 30 minutes dead flat. We got so many topics to cover. I can't wait. Food is part of it. You know I love that. Real quick, though, I want to hit two mailbag questions or two mailbag comments before we get out, because I've actually forgotten to do it here in the past couple of weeks. First of all, at Boss Savage 2570 dropped a hit on us about 3 weeks ago and said, I feel like if the Chiefs move up, it is best to get a lineman. Moving up for wide receiver would be great, but O-line is the number one need. So I hear you, Boss Savage, especially depending on the tackle that you can get. I absolutely hear you there. We were talking about the Chiefs draft a couple of weeks ago. And then last week, Jay the Stampede said, nice work, guys. So we really appreciate the shout out, appreciate the love, appreciate everybody who watches us. Let's get right into it. We've got a passel full of questions tonight. Austin is going to be up first. Our first topic for the night is long-suffering fan bases. So in the NFL, there's quite a collection of fan bases who have suffered a lot. I just picked out 6 of them, and we're going to decide which one we feel the most sorry for tonight. So the Chicago Bears, the Miami Dolphins, the Jets, the Cleveland Browns, the Washington Commanders, and the Raiders from any city that you want, currently Vegas. Austin, which one do you feel the worst for?
Well, I'm a Vikings fan, and my best friends and co-hosts of the Tricky Takes podcast are Browns fans. So the Browns and the Bears are completely ruled out from this running. The Dolphins, I'm just such a big fan of that team now. I can't feel bad for them. So that leaves me down to just a couple teams. I talked about this team a couple weeks ago. Again, glad Robertson's not here. I'm sorry. It's the Commanders. Hopefully they move to Oklahoma City soon.
All right, so the Commanders are yours. Let's drop them in right here. Corey still may or may not show up tonight. We're hoping so. All the love to Corey. Shane, what you got?
I mean, for me, Austin kind of hit on it. They're a fancy team lately, but I go with the Dolphins. Dan Marino, when they thought that they were going to be Super Bowl bound for the next couple of years, and then never could really get out of their own way. I think if they stay healthy this year, they're going to be one of the dominant teams in the East. But I mean, they've faced it through and through. I mean, I agree with Austin. Commanders. It's amazing that they're still in Washington with the way that that team's gone, but I'm going to go with the Dolphins.
I really don't think there is a wrong answer here, and I'm kind of inclined to go Commanders, but I will say,
Everybody has a terrible in
yes,
this group.
everybody has suffered brutally here. The Dolphins, real quick though, even in the Marino years, man. I mean, those Super Bowls, they're you got Marino and some wins, but still brutal. We got Ronnie with us tonight. Ronnie, tell everybody quickly just hi, and we appreciate you jumping on board, and you're the Giants fan, and then tell us who you feel sorry for.
Yes, sir. Thanks for having me, guys. I'm gonna agree with Austin here. I'm gonna go with the Commanders. Um, Anytime, I mean, they're just a dumpster fire right now, and you got to play the Cowboys and the Eagles that are both 11 plus win teams every year. As a Giants fan, I hate to say that, but where the Commanders are right now, having to be in this division is tough for them.
Absolutely. I don't. I'm hard to argue with the Commanders. I'm voting Browns. Part of the reason is because they were good all during the '80s, but they kept losing in all the games that mattered. They never did get the Super Bowl. Half those losses were like to the Buffalo Bills and the Denver Broncos, especially. So that was just heart wrenching. Then the team got ripped away from them. Then they had to go watch that franchise that was ripped away, basically go win Super Bowls in other places. Then they get a team back, and it's just kind of more of the same thing. They had tons of bad records all over the places, quarterback rotation all the way through. They finally get a quarterback with Watson, and then the kind of mess that's been there. So I'm picking the Cleveland Browns as the base I feel sorry for, but there's a lot of suffering going on in the NFL. Second topic of the night, best and worst. We do this quite often, best and worst for different things. Tonight, it's NFL stadiums. Baseball stadiums are really crafted more for beauty. NFL stadiums are really built differently. So tonight we're going to pick our best NFL stadium and worst. Austin, what you got?
For best, I could have gone my hometown, my favorite team, the Vikings, because it's a beautiful stadium there, US Bank. But I'm gonna go with what is, kind of becoming the staple center of the NFL, and that's Allegiant in Las Vegas. I mean, it's in Las Vegas. It's absolutely gorgeous, over $1 billion to build the stadium, and they've got all the big names there. It seems like every single Sunday that they play, there is some high name celebrity DJing, performing. And then they've got all the restaurants from like Guy Fieri's restaurant, and it's just kind of stands out amongst the crowd to me in terms of both the beauty of it and the atmosphere.
Can't argue with that. It's state of the art and it's modern. Shane, which direction you taking on this?
See, I love Austin's. I do agree that that stadium for the Raiders is great, pulling everything with Las Vegas. But I went a different way. I went with an outdoor stadium. I say Levi for the San Francisco 49ers. Great location. It's not as dingy as, their old park, but winning team, always filled, great at the end of the year. And I hate to say, like, I think that's the better California one. The LA one, to have both teams playing, I think you kind of defeat the purpose on a lot of ways that way. But Levi Stadium is a great stadium to see a game at.
Absolutely. I like most of these stadiums. I don't know that I love most of these stadiums in the NFL. Ronnie, I'm curious to see if you're going to go with the home team or you're pulling somewhere else.
No, I'm gonna go with the Buffalo Bills, actually. I mean that the weather advantage they have up there is
Yep.
is unheard of, and they use it to their advantage. They practice there year round. No one wants to live in Buffalo. No one wants to visit Buffalo, but to play football there is just next level.
Absolutely. And I'm going to come in with the Cincinnati Bengals Stadium, okay? And I know that's really not necessarily one of the leaders in the clubhouse for most folks, but a couple things I like about it. I love the way it fits there on the skyline. I love the way it fits there next to the water. Really love that. And this kind of is part of more of the city than just the stadium. But when you drive to Cincinnati from the lower part of the South, and you get on the interstate, there's a certain bend in the road you take on the interstate, and then all of a sudden, boom, the whole town, the whole city of Cincinnati is just right there, right in front of you. It's really cool. So I like the stadium, the atmosphere. I'll put the Bengals up there. Also thought about the Seahawks because they have some of the same stuff going on. Really like the Seahawks stadium as well. It's fine if you don't, but Austin, I'll start with you. Did you have a worst NFL stadium?
I do. I was sad to hear that Ronnie was a Giants fan. The worst stadium in the NFL is absolutely MetLife, and it's not particularly close to me. The field is absolutely terrible. It has so many injuries on it. It's one of the most like frequently injured player fields. There's like 3,000 wild, like feral cats living in the stadium. Both teams, first, I hate team or stadiums where two teams call it their home stadium. That's awful.
Yeah.
But both teams who play on it also suck. So that doesn't help at all. And then the worst part of it all, it's in New Jersey. Who wants to go to New Jersey?
Somebody was ragging on New Jersey last week. I don't remember.
That was me.
Okay.
Everybody should rag on New Jersey.
Nothing good comes from Jersey.
Shane, what's your worst if you got one?
See, like I said, I agree with Austin. I don't want to pound on Ronnie too much with the New York teams or New Jersey teams or whatever they think they are, but I'm going to go with the team that I've picked on consecutively for the last 3 weeks, and that's the Arizona Cardinals. The stadium itself, when it was first built, everybody thought it was going to be great. Every Super Bowl that's held there, it's a danger for anybody to play on. I know some of that goes right to the NFL, but like I said, I don't get the Cardinals. If they move to Manitoba or like you said, North Dakota, I think I'd rather see an indoor stadium there. And like I said, I don't see anything fanciful about that stadium. Like the Raiders, you're in Vegas, you have a very similar background and temperatures and things like that. But that stadium's amazing. No bad views. Don't feel the same thing about the Cardinals.
Yeah, unfortunately, I agree. You're right. When it was built, it was supposed to be state of the art. And it's got a couple of features to it, but the problems have not been good. Ronnie, you've taken some heat here, unfortunately. Are you going to pile on more? Are you going to fight that, or just go in a different direction, man?
Throw some gasoline on that fire, and I'm going to say Met. Like the injuries, that turf, it needs to go. The ACLs and Achilles that get left on that field is second to none. I've watched plenty of games there. It's not fun watching games there. The wind kills you, and unless you like paying $40 for a warm beer, it's just not a good place to go.
That's brutal.
The cats can help you out.
Yes. $40. It's NFL Stadium, right? All right, so I'm actually there with what you guys are saying. I'm picking all that up. Commander Stadium is pretty rough too in its own right. I'm going to pick on a stadium people probably don't expect, and that's Mercedes-Benz here in Atlanta. Listen, it's got all the bells and whistles, and from a techno, retro, all of that, we threw a lot of money at it. It's got all that. It's loud. It's got all of that. I just don't like the way the stadium looks. I mean, it looks like a jumbled up piece of metal is kind of the only way I know to describe it. And I really don't think the team in Atlanta should be playing in a dome anyway, or at least it should have a dome with a stadium that will open up, man. Play in the humidity in September, and the rest of the year you have decent weather. I've never liked that there was a dome in Atlanta, even though I appreciate the fact that they were trying to make it cool and nice and retro and all of that. I just like outdoor sports at every moment possible. Unless you're up in Canada, let's play outdoor sports, man. So I don't like the dome idea, and I especially don't like the way Mercedes-Benz looks. So that's the one I'm crashing on there. All right, let's talk about one of my favorite subjects and easily my favorite question of the night. I want to know your best local diner or non-name brand restaurant in your area. So we're going to do a little bit of local shout outs here tonight. If you want to name a couple, that's fine. Nothing fancy. And what kind of food do you like to get there? Okay. So no name brands and nothing fancy. It can be breakfast, lunch, supper, dinner, whatever you want to have. But where is it and what is it? Shane.
So for me, this is a restaurant in my area that actually just closed down about a year ago. But it was the breakfast spot. It's called Guma's. It's named after a grandmother of a local family. They owned a couple of different eateries around the area, but like everything we talked about for your breakfast meals before, Ben, and your love for breakfast, you could get there. Great waitresses that knew what your order was from the last time you were there. They always had everything prepared for you when you walked in the door. They'd pick on you about something you had done the last time. And like if you're gonna make that type of run, I think local has to be that way. It's like your local bar. You want to be able to go in there and everybody kind of has an inside joke. They know it's going to be the same way. It doesn't have to be the prettiest thing, but you're comfortable there. So that's my pick.
All right. I love it. I love local spots. Austin, I'm sorry. I meant to put you first because you're on the list first, but what you got there, Matt?
Well, so since I've moved to Raleigh, I have discovered a love for Asian food. So I want to shout out Bombay Curry. I'd never really had Indian food before I came here, and it is just absolutely insane. So that's like the one place, but just a generic shout out, any Chinese hole in the wall place. Now,
Ooh.
wait, very specific. It has to be next to a Food Lion. If it's not next to a Food Lion, I don't want it. I will drive an extra 2 or 3 miles, find the nearest Food Lion. There's always a Chinese spot next door, and it's always top notch.
That just explains so much about you, Austin. When I come to Raleigh sometime, I'm going to go to the Chinese hole in the wall restaurant next to Food Lion.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Austin. Rodney, what's your local shout out?
I'm gonna go with my personal favorite up here. I'm gonna go with Campus Corner. You walk in there, it's a little bar setting type deal. Bar seating is awesome. The owner's in there every day. She knows everybody by name. She knows everybody's order. Like Shane was saying, that's the way to do it. She makes everything homemade. You just can't miss. I've never had a bad meal there.
I love it. That's Campus Corner, right? Am I saying it right? All right. Love my local eating places. I'm going to name two really quickly. Joe's Ice Cream Parlor and basically hot dog stand, if you will. It's been here for decades here in the upstate. The original owner passed away a few years ago, but the tradition was kind of handed down to the family, and they've carried it on pretty strongly, just like a little main street, eatery right there. But it's everything from, all the stuff you would expect: the hot dogs, the corn dogs, the hamburgers, the chicken sandwiches, the chicken fingers, and the ice cream. Just classic. This is where all the local people are going to go. So that's an awesome spot. So I give them a shout out. And then literally just a mile down the hill from there is a place called Carolina Grill, which is much smaller, more of a drive-through where people just kind of pick up their supper on the way home, kind of a place. But the food's very similar. Really good food. So if you want that chicken sandwich and the fries and the slaw on the way home, grab some food for the family. That's the place to go. Just run through the drive-through there. So shout out to both of those local places. Absolutely love them. And I'm making myself hungry as I talk, of course. Number 4, this is a little bit more of a serious topic. We don't hit a whole lot of serious here, but this one kind of is. The Jonte Porter ban in the NBA. I'll say it really quickly for those in the audience who may not know what that is. So Jonte Porter was an NBA player. He is not any longer. The NBA crushed him with a lifetime ban because he was connected to some betting improprieties. I'll say it that way without diving into the story. But they hit him with a lifetime ban just recently. And my question tonight for the panel is it just right, too little, funnily, I don't know what else they would do, or is it too much? So, Austin, you got the first shot at it.
Yeah, I mean, if I had to pick one of the three, like somehow I would say it's too little. If you look at what this guy did, it's a disgrace to the game, disgrace to competitive sports as a whole. I mean, keep this guy just out of sports the rest of his life.
All right, Shane.
I agree with Austin, and I think beyond the impropriety of what he did to the NBA, I mean, from a betting standpoint, he's also a terrible gambler. I mean, like the setup of it all to throw away an NBA career for the small winnings that he made. I mean, you could be anybody and hit a parlay and do better than what he did, and none of us are throwing away an NBA career, let alone an NBA career that my family's also involved in. Like this could have long-reaching implications in the NBA. And I mean, it brings up again where the NBA is one of those ones where gambling has always been an issue, officials making calls late in the game and things like this. And I think that this really hurts the NBA. And that's why they went right away, no delay, and took them out as quickly as they could.
Ronnie, how you feeling?
I agree with everybody else, man. It's too little. And anytime you put the integrity of the game at risk, it's not okay. We all play sports to be competitive, and you're betting on yourself to lose. That's just not okay, and not just the team sport, and you're out there just throwing it away.
Austin, final word real quick.
Yeah, just the fact that he placed a prop bet on himself and then faked being sick to hit the under, and then he got caught, and so they didn't cash his bet.
The fascinating part for me is we've been told for years that players making that much money won't sacrifice it to do something that small, but clearly he would and did, and if he would, then others would too.
1-800-GAMBLER. If you or anyone you know has a gambling addiction, it's a serious problem. Like,
I think there's a lot of people who need to be calling that number. I know a few of them. Speaking of that, let's go right into our NBA game of the night, which we're going to pick and bet 10, 5, or 1 fake dollars on it during our game. So here's what we've got, though. Shane is sitting at $45 right now of fake money. I'm sitting at 54, mainly because I hit on the Dawn Staley prediction, and I've been completely conservative since then. Austin's at 40. Corey's at 35. Ronnie, I'm going to put you at 35 for the night just as a low water mark, and I'll let you kind of be a part of the game as well tonight. So we're looking for Lakers Nuggets game 3 Thursday night. It's at LA. Basically, can the Lakers turn it into a series or not? Forget the point spread, just straight up Lakers win or not. Austin, what you
got? Simply for the spirit of wanting a good series, I'm gonna take the Lakers, but I'm not confident at all. Give me the low $1 bet on the Lakers.
Done. Shane, where are you at on this one?
I'm going Nuggets and going the high end. As has been the honorary of the show, I like to bet at high in honor of Porter. I'm not going to fake an injury, and I think the Nuggets will show up and dominate the Lakers.
Fair enough. Ronnie, game three. What you feeling there?
I'm gonna start by saying I like how we went from talking about how bad gambling is to gambling here.
Yes. Yes.
I'm gonna go, you put $10 on those Nuggets. After the press conference with LeBron and Davis storming out the other night, they don't have confidence in themselves right now, and the Nuggets are tough to beat even when you are confident. I don't see it happening for the Lakers.
All right, fair enough. I don't have any doubt that the Nuggets are going to win the series, but I do figure the Lakers at least show up at home for game three. They showed up for game two in Denver, so I'll put $5 on the Lakers, five fake dollars on the Lakers to win game three. We're covering 7 topics tonight, so this is number 6, and this is the one where we get really random and out in left field. If you have all expenses covered and you get to take a 1 week vacation to anywhere, where are you going and what are you doing? And if you also want to throw in who's coming with you, you're welcome to do that because I know that matters a lot, right? If it's your girlfriend or your family or your buds, right? So feel free to flavor it that way. But all expenses covered, 1 week vacation, where are you going and what are you doing? Austin.
This is funny because my fiance and I right now are planning our honeymoon, and so I've been doing a lot of research on
Be careful, man. Be careful what
yeah,
you say. It will be used
yeah.
against you.
So I'll say since this isn't a place we actually can go, and this is a place that she would love to go, and I would love to go with her. We'll take a trip to Greece for a week. That would be awesome.
All right, love that. So we're just—I mean, what are we doing? Cruising, or we gonna walk around? Like, what you feeling there?
Um, you know, I wouldn't mind a little cruise in the Mediterranean, going, maybe Italy to Greece or
Right.
something. That'd be pretty cool.
All right, right, very good. I like it. Shane.
Yeah, see, I agree with Austin on that. I fortunately have already taken care of the honeymoon, so I don't have to worry about that pressure. But for me, I would go with the family, and we've talked about this a lot. I think it's the UK, most specifically Ireland, but just a lot for us to get a chance to see. Um, a temperature that we wouldn't be too hot, wouldn't be too bad. The rain and the temperature that we get there is basically northern New York, so it's not going to scare anybody away on our side. But just the images you see of Ireland, the places you can see, I think that's all expense paid. If somebody else is up fitting the bill, then that's the trip I'm taking. So,
Yep, yep. I hear you. Ronnie.
Um, it's funny you guys talked about honeymoons. This time next week I'll be on a plane to my honeymoon, and I would have loved for that to be paid.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I would love for that to have been paid for because it has been a lot of money dropped in the past couple of weeks on this trip. We are going to the Bahamas. We're going to spend a week down there. I'm very excited, but my bank account is crying right now.
Yes. Oh, it's brutal, man. It's brutal. It doesn't get any better.
I
Well, you done a
appreciate
great job. I'm sorry. I'm terrible. Well, congratulations to both of you, Austin and Ronnie. I hope you enjoy all of it. And the price is worth it, though, man. I'd rather be poor with somebody I care about doing things I love doing than have a fat bank account any day of the week. I will say right now I'm right in the middle of kiddom, parenthood. So me and the kids and the wife, we're, if it's all expenses paid, we're going to Disney World, we're going to Six Flags, we're going to all those places, all expense paid. If it's just me and the wife, though, and someday it will be, we're heading to Ireland and we're heading to Italy. So I'm right there with what you guys are putting out there. It'll be like a part cruise, part land deal because I'd love to just cruise the waters first, but then I also want to just relax and kind of feel the local stuff too, So I'd love to be able to see these places from the cruise ship, which is beautiful. But then I'd also love to just be able to, walk the hills, go into some of these places. I mean, you guys are talking my language there with both of those places. I know that they're very separate, but I would love to hit those up if somebody's footing the entire bill. Final 60. Whatever you want to talk about. Austin, what do you want to talk about this week?
Okay, so we're going to take a break from my normal movie stuff. I have something that I need everybody watching to do. We are hosting a mock draft, first round NFL mock draft competition on an app called Mockout. It's a lot of fun. We hosted a big one last year, had a lot of entries, and our good buddy Simon, who does the Simon Short podcast, actually ended up winning that. So I need you guys, everybody, to not let Simon win again because his ego is just going to his head's already big enough, guys. We cannot let this man win again. So please go to my Twitter or my podcast Twitter at Tricky Takes, TRIICKY takes, um, and find the tweet that has the link. Click on it, enter a mock draft. It no money costs or any to entry or anything like that. Just go enter one, and we'll shout out whoever wins.
Austin, I apologize. Full disclosure, I haven't got to it myself yet. I hope to sometime before the draft
Still
gets
time.
here.
Still time.
Okay. Shane, your final 60.
Man, I never thought there'd be a time where Austin told me he wasn't going to do a movie review and I'd still be happy. I'm happy to rain on somebody's parade, so I'll have to get on that end. My 60 is something that we kind of talked about before the show started, just catching up. It's NHL playoff time. That's by far the favorite playoff for me. I think the intensity from the first game is on. And it seems like some great series already. But by far my favorite. I could watch NHL from morning to night, especially playoff hockey. Growing up where I did, it would be the reason you'd watch CBC and hit Don Cherry, and he would always have some comment about how somebody didn't get beat up for the mistake that they made, and he would have loved some of these series already. I'm sure he's a huge Rempe fan, so Ronnie being a Rangers fan, they're pulling their weight this year. So
Rimpy, man. I mean, he's just on Sports Center every night, man.
I mean, when you want to talk about signing your own check, that man is not buying a beer in New York City for the rest of his life. Like, he is the city. If the only thing he could get higher is if he joined the fire department while he was still playing for the Rangers. Other than that, I mean, I don't know what else he can do. He's above Yankees right now. I think him and Judge could clear house if they wanted to.
Yeah, Rippy's one of the few guys who could score and is also the enforcer for the team. I mean, play both roles. Usually it's a split role. He's doing both, man. All right, Ronnie, what's your final 60?
So my 60, you guys touched on this a couple of times in your first couple of shows. I'm going to give a shout out to women's sports. Women's sports is just taking off right now. You guys saw what Caitlin Clark has done for college basketball, not just her, Angel Reese, Paige Beckers. But it extends past just basketball. Women's professional soccer, Kansas City just opened up the first ever only women's field. I think that's great for women's sports. Professional women's hockey just started up, and it's just awesome to see where women's sports is heading. These young girls once had a dream of playing sports, and the reality was they couldn't. And now there's a league for them to play in all over the place, and it's just great to see.
There is, and I love it. I especially love it when there's names I know, which we're getting more and more of that. But I especially love it. The women's NBA for me, especially when I watched the game, because I watched it when it first started. I watched the college game back in the 90s. To me, it was a boring game back then, the way they played, but no longer. These girls are killing it. They are up and down the floor like lightning bugs. They are shooting from way beyond the arc, many of these. I mean, it is a fast-moving, cut-your-heart-out kind of a game, and they are killing it. It's a lot of fun just stylistically to watch, besides the stars that we're getting, kind of some exposure to these days. So really, really love that too. My final 60, Austin didn't do a movie review. I'm not doing a movie review. I'm doing more of a Netflix show review. So I watch a fair amount of reality TV. One of my favorite shows that I've been doing over the past few months is called Traitors. There's actually a Traitors United States. There's a version of Traitors in the United Kingdom, Traitors Australia, Traitors New Zealand. Basically the same format in several different countries, and I love all of them. I just absolutely enjoy the Traitors style of game. The one I'm calling about, spoiler alert, I'm calling out a specific season here. So if you don't want to know what's happening, either mute me or, turn us off here. Traders Australia season 2. I just watched it on Netflix or Peacock. I'm sorry, it's the Peacock app, so I apologize for that. Traders Australia season 2 was especially just mind blowing. If you want a master class in cult leaders and the people who follow them, watch Traders Australia season 2, because there's one guy on there who is just unbelievably charming. His strategy was okay, but his charm was just really beguiling people. It was like week after week, there were contestants saying that guy's a traitor. And he had this little cluster of followers who were like, maybe. And then he would say, well, maybe that person's a traitor. And the whole group would just pivot and vote somebody else right out of the game every week. It was astonishing. Not only that, though, there was a particular episode in which you can earn silver bars for doing little missions, right? Little challenges and stuff. But quite a few of the contestants gave up multiple $2,000 silver bars in order to buy a beer, buy a protein shake, buy a bottle of water, a bottle of wine. They gave up $16,000 on one particular mission for some completely worthless drinks that they didn't even need, which is hilarious. And then I won't tell you the ending, but there is a surprise ending that I've never seen on any other trader show. There's a huge surprise ending at the end of that season, very much worth your watch if you're into reality kind of TV at all. And so I particularly enjoy that. Any final news and notes from anybody before we shut this thing down? All right, that's it. Thank you all for listening. Ronnie, thank you for being with us for the first time. You did a great job, man. Austin and Shane, thank you as always. Tell everybody goodbye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, guys.